It's been 15 years. It's been 10 years since I left. So if that's any indication, the first minister was here 5 years. The second minister was here 10 years. You got a good 15 years out of the next minister. And I'm sure that's happening real soon. I know that with Laura at the helm, and talk about a student, and I look around and it's Julie and it's Robin, and Kate Berkey is out in California now. They were the first 4 practitioner students, and what a great time we had. I left the center before they finished, and so I flew back and forth every other weekend. I think we did 6-hour Saturdays of studies and of laughing and of me continuing to just hammer these principles, hammer the realization, hammer, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about what you believe. It's about what you practice. And it's about the power and the presence that lives within every one of us. Now last year, I don't know if you got it from there, but last year, CSL Dallas did the theme, This Stuff Really Works, TSRW. It's good, so there's only one mind, so it filters through the universe. This stuff really works. How many in this room, with a show of hands, can say that they have had demonstrations as a result of the practices, of the principles of the science of mind? All right. So we're gathering here today as community to just remind ourselves through the person that stands up here about what these principles really are. So as I speak and I say anything that I say, I'll see heads nodding this way because we all know it. We all know it on some level at all times. The thing about it is continuing to remember it and continuing to practice it when we walk through those dark nights of the soul. Now, the dark nights can be lighter dark, they can be medium dark, and they can be real dark. Right? And maybe all of us have been in any random part of that darkness at any given time. So I lived up here for 10 years, and I moved to Dallas. I moved back to Dallas for the grandchildren. That's the only reason I'm in Dallas. I do not like Dallas. Never have, never will. But I love my 3 grandchildren. So I travel as much as I can now. I traveled up here Friday, and I said to Robin, let's go to Colorado for a week. And why don't you get some music gigs and that, at singing in churches, and I'll come along. And when she couldn't get the second church, I don't know who I called Debbie, and I said, Debbie, make it happen. And Debbie made it happen, and so Robin's here and I'm here, and you know, you get 2 for the price of 1. Yeah. So I got here Friday. Robin didn't arrive till this morning, so I thought, okay, I'll have a day or so up in Breckenridge. I got here late in the afternoon. I drove to Breckenridge, got in front of the lodge, got out of the car, stood there for a minute, and I felt like I was going to fall over. And I know this thing about living here and how you have to adjust, and I took a deep breath, and I staggered into the lodge, and I kept taking deep breaths, and the deeper breaths I took, I felt like I was going to faint because I was taking deep breaths. And I got into the room, you know, dragging my baggage and everything, and I'm still breathing deep like this, and I could only go so far, and I had to sit down on the couch or sit down on a chair. And I went to the bedroom, and it was like, I don't even feel like going out to dinner. So I ordered something in, and when I got it, I couldn't even eat it. I felt so dizzy and all that. I couldn't sleep that night. My heart was beating so fast. And I took my pulse rate, and I had 108 per minute. And I'm like, okay, do I dare go to sleep?
Yeah.
Forever.
Thank you. I chose otherwise. I sat up. I couldn't lay down because when I laid down, the pain in my head, the headache, got so bad. Well, that is definitely a time to pray. Definitely. So I said, okay, fine. I understand this. I know this thing about altitude. This is all right. You know, I can handle this. Breathing. I'll sit up. I'll sleep sitting up. I've done that before. 5 pillows around me and everything. And I slept sitting up. I also had swollen ankles, so I put them on bolsters, on a bolster. And, you know, if anybody saw me laying in that bed, it's like, okay, she's out of here any minute. So I woke up the next morning after some sleep, and it was the same. I thought, okay, I'll adapt over 24 hours. The night before, I had called a care place, and they said, well, if this keeps up, I suggest you go to an emergency room, which I did. That next morning on my way back to Denver to have the afternoon and evening with some friends. 3 hours later, after blood tests, after oxygen when I first walked in, my oxygen level was at 59.
Oh no.
What happens when you get below 50? So I don't want to try it. She said, well, we're definitely going to have to give you some oxygen if you're going to plan to stay up here in Breckenridge. And I said, well, I am. We're coming back Sunday afternoon. So Robin and I were talking about how the impact of altitude has just on your breathing, just on anybody who's walking around, let alone a musician who has to keep singing and get that breath and everything. And I was watching her while she was singing, and she sung pretty high. And I, you know, was looking at her, and so she's like, okay. Breathing like that. So, this afternoon I'll go back to Breckenridge, and they'll bring something that I can have oxygen while I sleep at night. So I know this is not the time to, you know, turn pink and transcend. So as the Reverend Peter used to say, you know, we're here on this earth, and when we're ready to go, we turn pink and transcend.
Okay.
This stuff really works is your annual theme. And this month you have the theme of Easy Does It. Easy Does It. So what do you think when I realized that I could not breathe? Easy does it. Just take it easy. Don't try to accomplish something in that moment or push yourself. How often have we found ourselves just pushing and pushing and pushing? You know, and sometimes it's like, I gotta get there, I gotta get there, I gotta do this, I got only so much time to do this. There's not much time left. And what is time? Time is something that we make up, that we have created for our ability to manage getting from here to here, making appointments, setting meetings, doing this, doing that. That's what time is for. But if you needed another, I planned to be here this morning by 8:45, 8:30, 8:45, and when we got here at 9:20, I thought Laura's probably in there pacing back and forth. But I believe probably that you trusted that I would be here, so I didn't get any telephone calls, and all is well. CDs and everything is set up out there. You know, I managed to get Tic Tacs so that I can have some in my mouth for moisture. It all works out. She's saying anything is possible, and I have the phrase on my checks, with God, anything is possible, is the phrase. With God. And when we believe, then we trust that there is an infinite presence, a divine knowingness that lives and breathes and has its very being within us. And when I know that, and when I believe that with God anything is possible, then anything is possible. Okay? Well, Robin, bless her heart, and I love her, and she is this fantastic, phenomenal musician. I didn't look at the time when I started talking. Somebody better tell me, otherwise it could be 12 o'clock and we'll still be here.
We
Give me
love
a
hearing you.
hallelujah.
Keep talking.
Give hallelujah and amen. So Robin, it was probably just a couple of months ago, and she said, we're out to dinner. I really want to do my music 100%. She's been a musician in New York. She's a Grammy writer, okay, Grammy-nominated writer, musician. She's sung with some of the best people in New York. She's done this. And then she moved to Texas. And then she got into the spiritual arena. Now she's realizing she wants to do a combination of her music with her spiritual essence of what she's learned since she's been involved with the science of mind. So she said, I don't want to. She had a job teaching at a school, a music teacher in a school, had private students at night. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this to the degree I'm doing it. Got to dinner the next time. It's like, well, some of my nighttime students are dropping off. Some are graduating from high school. Some of the younger ones are not renewing. And I said, what did you ask for? Last week, the school that she teaches at decided that they didn't want to have teachers there all day long and pay them a salary. They only wanted to pay them for the hours that they work. Isn't that special? So, Robin has all this time on her hands now. And she's making contacts, and she's doing spiritual practices more frequently throughout the day, okay? And then every so often, this fear creeps up. I have, my parent, my mother, my brother, I have responsibilities. So when the fear creeps up, she calls me, she calls her other practitioner, Reverend Veronica, she calls and gets a little treatment, talks it out, let's go.
Mindy Onwin.
Oh, Mindy's here, okay, hi Mindy. Nice to see you. And she comes back into the expression, she comes back into the realization. And I say, Robin, your music is an expression of this principle of what we teach. Now my message today, title, I think as I gave it to them, was Walk Before You Run. And I added to that, take one step at a time. So if you stand where you are, in your situation, in your position, and if you're talking about wanting to do something different, and you're not taking a step toward it, if you're not thinking, if you're not allowing an idea to flow through, you will be stuck. And when we're stuck, it's like being in quicksand. And it'll pull you down, mentally, down, consciously, down in your way of responding. You will go within and withdraw without going within and recognizing the presence of God, of who you are. It's all we have to remind ourselves of who we are. The challenging thing is that we live in this world of material things, touchy-feely, I see you, you see me. The toughest thing is to get beyond that and recognize that beyond what we are in the consciousness of all life is the essence of the universe, which we call God, Spirit, infinite being, divine oneness, whatever you want to name it. It is an energy that just permeates itself, that created from the idea within it everything that we see on the planet and beyond. So if that created all of this, including us, and if we say that we are one, then all that is what we are, what we have the potential to be. And so there is nothing holding us back except the limitation of our own doubts and fears within our own minds. Take one step toward the vision the identity, the destination that you want to get to, recognizing it is not about getting to the destination, it is about having the journey. Having the journey. And through the journey, we get to meet things along the way that look like bumps, humps, mountains, something that holds us back, and we take 1 or 2 steps backwards. And then we say, I can't do it. Now, can we give up? You can try to give up, okay? But wherever you are, God is. And inside of you is the realization that you have within you to do more than what you're currently doing. And when you get that realization, then it's a matter of acting upon it. It is always about action, 1 step at a time. We didn't learn to ride a bicycle immediately when we got on it. Maybe some did. Maybe some are just innate musicians. I don't know if you are. Were you just an innate musician? Okay? And others take lessons. Whatever it takes. So you cannot take two musicians, put them side by side, and say that they're equal. They are equal in the capacity of the power and the presence that they have to perform and do whatever it is that their vision calls them to do. And the one who is sincerely gifted has more of a, well, I won't say more of a calling, but I will say there is something more for them to do, to step out because of that. While the second musician is still doing the practices, still learning, still adapting, still working with what they want to do, their vision. And as long as you hold the vision will come true. So when I look at your vision, we are a joyous, thriving community living as divine light and love. Recognizing that you're a piece of this community. How frequently do you say that? This community that you have here is not just the minister's responsibility. It is all of your responsibility. It is all your calling. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be here. You're here maybe because you have friends, you've made friendships, and you socialize. But you're also here because of what this message brings to you. What you hear when you're here. And what matters is what you do when you walk out that door. Do you take these principles with you? And then do you practice them 1 step at a time? Okay? Do you remember what you hear on Sunday? And what you hear on Sunday draws you to want more. That was me in 1984 when I first got introduced to this science of mind. It spoke to my heart. It spoke to my soul. And I wanted to know more. And I badgered the teachers so much because I was so left brain. I wanted to know, how does it work? Okay, how does this work? And he kept saying, Reverend Gary, bless his heart, it's not how it works. We didn't have the faith and the trust, affirm what it is that we want to see, hold it very strongly, do our practices, and you'll see the demonstrations. Okay, I'll try that. Trying that got me out of the job that I had, not by being fired or anything, but by when I prayed for the next right thing to show up for me, that I didn't even know what that was, but I knew that there was something greater waiting for me. Then American Airlines, who I worked for at the time, came out with a retirement package. And man, it was so lucrative and so great, and anybody in their right mind who qualified, and I qualified within like 2 days. Couldn't help but take this. I signed on the last day, because every day prior to that, I had to keep treating and knowing, keep treating and believing, keep treating and recognize something greater awaits me. Now, there were stepping stones in between getting here, not just the training and the education, but there was the realization that this was where I was supposed to be. Messages that we hear, no, that can't be right. Nah, just, no, that's not right. Let it go. And when you hear it over and over again, and it's very clear, you're going to ministerial school, you're going to Denver, Colorado, and all these other things, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You want me to do what? I didn't even know there was a ministerial school in Denver, Colorado. So I checked it out, and sure enough it was. And then it took me, I had to, when I signed on the line, I had to stay there and hire my replacements and train and so on. I came up for a visit in September, and in October I was in classes. In January I took, or December 31st, I took my last breath at American Airlines, and January I moved everything to here, to Colorado, to ministerial school at Mile High Church, to the unknown of what's next. The unknown of what's next founded this community. It founded it on the faith and the belief that it wasn't about me. When I left here, I said, it's not about me. Your next minister will lead you further, will do different things. There will be a next minister if you believe, and if you want there to be. And if you believe, this community will multiply. When you say thriving, a thriving to me is you take this word of this teaching and you take it out there. And people see through the life that you live, the positive way in which you come forth, your attitude. People will say, I love your attitude. Where did it come from? How could you do this all the time? It's because of this teaching that you practice it and you remember it. I think the way that I wanted to conclude this is Robin had. She has a song, and the song is entitled Believe. So I want you to listen. She'll play for a while and then I'll do a treatment and she'll finish.
I woke up this morning and I opened up my eyes and I stared out the window, and what to my surprise was a snow-covered hill and the earth standing still for all to see. And I said to myself, what a precious world I live in, where each moment is a lifetime and a new life can begin. And we have the vision, the light and the life that never ends. And I am as you are, and we are the universal seed. And I do believe, yes, I do believe.
The quote on your monthly newsletter from the Psalms: cease striving and know that I am God. So in this moment of your awakening, in this moment of understanding that there is but one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, and that life is my life now. And with that life expression living and breathing within me, within all of us, we move forward, thriving, joyously, prosperous, abundant, knowing, and we manifest from the vision, and we multiply from the intention, and we live in the magnificence of this teaching that I am one in God. That the allness of what God is moves with me everywhere that I go. And I walk through the dark night of the soul. And I take those practices with me. And I come out on the other side demonstrating far more. For when one door closes, another one opens. So keep walking. We keep walking. We keep bringing this magnificence of this divine teaching with us. And how grateful we can be for this teaching, for this practice in the dark nights of the soul, and in the moments of awakening to the brightness of whatever it is that we want to manifest. For with God, all things are possible, and I believe.
So hold in your heart all that you desire, and what you never wanted, let it burn in the fire, 'cause you have the power to plant any flower and watch it bloom. And I am as you are, and we are the universal seed. And all this creation was born out of what we believe, believe, believe. And I do believe, yes, I do believe. And I do believe, yes, I do believe. Believe, believe, believe. Believe, believe, believe.
And yes, I do believe. And knowing that I believe, I can release and I can let go, and my faith and my trust moves forward. All is well. Life is good. I am blessed. We are blessed. Say with me.